2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple, who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. How do I develop a growth mindset in recovery? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
Oh, good, man. Doing great.
Hey, your haircut looks good. High and tight.
High and tight. It's good for the summertime. It's comfortable. You don't have to do
fade?
anything.
Are you faded in there? Like, dang, man.
Brannon, I got the same haircut I've gotten for the last 24 years. I don't know why all of a sudden you're
like
paying
a high and
to
tight fade. Like, you're just looking good, man.
Yeah.
Did you get your ear hair removed when you were getting your haircut?
Always.
Yeah.
I'm at that age where I'm an old man now, where that's like there's more that comes off of the ears than there is the head now.
I love how you're just owning it.
Yeah. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Well, we're old men, you know.
Yep.
So, well, we got with us not such an old man here with us, a nice young man here to come join us on the podcast. So, DJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here.
If you could just give us a little bit of background and tell us what's going on with you, and then ask any questions.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess I'll jump right in. Started with an addiction to pornography and masturbation, the ripe old age of about 11 or 12. I'm the oldest of two. I have one younger sister. Growing up, I was always trying to be the golden boy. You know, I was the Eagle Scout. Was involved in the LDS church culture stuff, so I was like the leaders of the quorums and all that sort of thing. Meanwhile, I was hiding this pretty severe addiction to pornography the entire time. Served an LDS mission, came back, was immediately thrust into leadership positions in a student ward up at Utah State, where I met my wife. We got married in 2013. We now have 4 kids, ranging in age from 9 years old to 3 months. After marriage, the addiction progressed to seeking encounters with actual women, including prostitutes and escorts. my initial disclosure to my wife occurred 4.5 years ago, or 4.5 years into our marriage in 2017. And since then, I've been trying to do recovery with, unfortunately, not a whole lot of success on the sobriety or recovery front from my perspective. I've tried a few different programs. I've done the LDS churches like ARP, did another program through Life Changing Services, and currently I'm involved with the LifeStar program. And I've been doing that for about a year, 2 years now. Yeah, and it seems like every time I try something new, there's like a honeymoon phase where I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then I kind of fall off the wagon and have a hard time getting back on. Mm-hmm. So my question is just about trying to develop a growth mindset in recovery.
What's the, what spurs this on for you? You've talked about the programs you've gone to. I guess, help us understand the mental and emotional approach that you feel like you've been taking so far.
The mental and emotional approach that I've taken so far.
To your recovery.
Yeah, I think,
Tyler, are you saying like what hasn't worked?
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, he's here asking the question of how do I develop a growth mindset? So I'm trying to figure out what his mindset is if it's not growth mindset.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my decisions, not only in recovery but in life in general, are often based in fear, scarcity, feelings of failure are often overwhelming to me. I don't know if I'm answering your question adequately, but that's kind of what drives me is a fear of failure, I guess.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense to me, actually. So basically, you used 3 words there. You used fear, failure, and scarcity. So if I'm hearing that right, the fuel source that's burning from the inside puts you in a program that says, well, I'm going to do whatever the program is, any of these that I've just done, but I'm doing it so that I can be perfect. I'm doing it so that I don't mess up again. I'm doing it so I don't lose my family. I'm doing it because, I'm afraid that I won't be good enough otherwise. And so you're doing certain programming, but the internal energy is coming from that place of fear, failure, and scarcity.
Yes, I think you've articulated it very well.
Go just maybe a little deeper. Why do you have such a fear of failure?
I feel like I stand to lose a lot, as Tyler mentioned. I've got a beautiful family. I've got so much that I ought to be grateful for and cherish and fight for. Okay. And I am afraid that it could all come crashing down because of my poor choices.
And there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you continue down this road, consequences are going to start to hit, and consequences that you don't want. Right. Right. So that fear might not be unfounded. That fear might be there protecting you. Right. I'm wondering, is there a fear of failure that goes beyond that of, you hold yourself up to a standard and you don't want other people to see that you have failed. That you get your self-worth, and tell me if I'm off on this. I'm just putting this as a possibility. You get your self-worth from performance and showing people that you're good, and that, it's interesting that how you started with quickly put into leadership in church, quickly a leader, a good boy, right? Someone who's, holding the standard. Am I off on that? Like, is that?
No, you're spot on, Brannon. Yeah.
Okay. So there's two different things here that I'm talking about. Can you see the difference?
the difference between striving for performance and what's the other that you're referring to?
Yeah, the striving for performance, and then the fear of I might lose my family. That fear is a real thing.
That's legitimate.
That's legitimate. That can motivate you. But the issue is, and here's I'll just jump to it here, and then we can talk about it. The issue is it sounds like you're doing all these programs to try to be okay and be good enough, and you're not addressing the actual issue of what's going on here, the root as to what's going on here. And maybe you are, but it seems like you're looking to, okay, what structure, what support, what tools, what do I need to do so that I'm faithful, so that I don't act out, so that I don't, and it's focused on that.
Yeah, I very much want the checklist. I want the list of things that I need to do to be okay, right? Yeah.
What's curious to me is, on your shirt it says Warrior Heart. Like, what's it going to take to heal your heart? What's it going to take to find peace within your heart?
And frankly, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Could I follow up on Brannon's question a little bit further? Just kind of have you sit with it for a second, see if anything rises to the surface. Maybe nothing does for a second, but that idea of that, where did you learn the rule that the way you got your value was by being seen in a certain light or by performing? It sounds like there's a core belief inside of you that your value comes from your performance. Where did that stem from?
I mean, I have a few things that come to mind, and I don't know if they're the true source or not, but did you want me to answer or just sit with it?
No, yeah, if you have something off the top of your mind, like what, if anything comes up for you.
I just remember growing up, and spending a lot of time with my dad, and he worked his butt off to provide a good life for my sister and me, for my mom. But I watched my mom kind of belittle him in a passive aggressive kind of way. And so I saw that nothing that he ever did, even though he, like I said, he worked his tail off, nothing ever seemed to be good enough for her. So I don't know if that might be a source, but it was like, yeah, nothing he did was ever good enough for her. And because I was constantly trying to assist my father, he owned his own business, and I worked for him from a fairly young age. It was like, I guess that kind of extended to me, that because nothing he did was ever good enough, that nothing I did by extension was also good enough.
How's your relationship now with your parents, with your mom?
I mean,
dad?
I think from a 30,000 foot view, it's good, right? But on a more intimate emotional level, there's not a whole lot there. Like, we spend a lot of time together, but as far as like true connection is concerned, not a whole lot there. And it's interesting because my dad is, the generation that he's a late boomer. He like, nothing that my mom did seemed to faze him. Like, it was okay. So like, seeing his reaction to that, and then simultaneously internalizing what my mom was doing and saying made me feel kind of worse, if that makes sense, because it wasn't phasing him, but I was internalizing a lot of it. So I felt like, oh, I'm less of a man because I can't take it like he can, kind of thing.
So in a certain sense, if I'm hearing it right, and this is really insightful on your part as you're kind of diving into this right now, you're trying to emulate your father by being the hamster in the wheel that just keeps going and does his best and provides.
That's a perfect analogy. Yeah.
At all costs. But then you also feel this pressure from the outside, and you're a young kid who doesn't know any better. And so you're kind of taking on the stresses of your father and the stresses of your mother. And as a child, you're trying to figure out, well, don't quite measure up to being like my dad. So that means I'm not man enough, but I don't want to disappoint anybody, especially my mom. So I better figure out how to make sure that I always excel and that nothing vulnerable or weak or something that would be compromising ever gets seen by either.
Yeah.
So in a certain sense, you got pressure coming from both sides without even knowing that pressure was coming from both sides.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And DJ, you're still married?
I am still married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to come back.
God knows why. Like I
yeah, it's a miracle. Like your wife
it is
hanging in there, and yeah. Going back to what Tyler was saying, I'm just, as he was saying that, I was wondering, Gal, how does this play out in your marriage? You know, in terms of the way you're showing up as a husband with her. Does she almost turn into I don't know what kind of figure, a parent figure, a God figure, how does that play out with her?
Yeah, I do try to seek validation from her. I get my worth based on her reaction to my performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
Yeah. So all the things that we're talking about, if you look at them, if you see, this kind of confusing attachment dynamic that you have with your parents, seeking validation from your wife, acting out with sex, and getting some sense of numbing out or okayness there with the acting out. When you look at all of this, DJ, and you do zoom out, what actually is the issue?
In my opinion, I think the issue is that I struggle to be okay with myself, to just accept myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so interesting. This is, and you can tell me where I might be missing the boat here, all right, DJ. But what Brannon just kind of said and what you're saying is that, and this is why this thing is so insidious, the way these addictions kind of form sometimes, is you take a little boy who doesn't know any better, who lives in the world he does with the pressures that he now sees as a man were there. But the little boy didn't know any different, and so he did his best. And what he wanted to do is, his parents are the closest thing he's got to God, so he's going to try to please both, but never felt good enough for either. But then he learned how to perform, and that became something that was automatically established. It wasn't like a conscious thing where he woke up one day and was like, "I'm going to agree that I just have to perform to get love." Like that was emotionally almost like hardwired into him before he even knew what was going on. And then that boy becomes a man, and he takes that belief into all of his other relationships. And listen to what you just gave as your background versus what you just told us. I'm now trying to get my wife to please me all the time, so I look great to her all the time, trying to be good enough, trying to get validation from her, but it's never quite enough, not because of her, but because of what's going on inside of me. So then I pursue it in all of these other feminine ways, trying to fill that void still with the addiction that I've now established. And all the while, the belief system just hums merrily along without ever even being drawn out, without ever being conscious, without even being aware. It's just, I just assume that that's the way life is, that that's what I have to do to fill the void. And now you're doing this work and going, wait a second, That's what we're trying to tease out here. And we might not have it exactly right yet, but what are the beliefs that I've been living all along that don't actually have to be true? That in some ways, many of them are completely blatantly false and damaging, but they just felt true because a young boy just develops beliefs automatically.
So you want to know what those beliefs are?
Well, I think you're teasing. I think you're teasing one out right now. And now the question. And now the question is, and again, maybe there's more. Maybe we don't quite have it figured out just yet, but I think we're close enough. The next question is then, okay, well now your autopilot has you default into every single day. Your autopilot has you default into perform for your value.
Mm-hmm. But
now that this is conscious. And it's becoming conscious. Now you have some power. And then the question is, this is really about developing that growth mindset you were talking about at the beginning. What do I do with that belief now that it's conscious, especially when I see it start to play out in my day-to-day life right now?
That's where I feel stuck, is like over the last year or so, I feel like I've done some of that work to bring it to my conscious mind, that I'm aware of this, but like it still feels true, and I'm having a hard time challenging it.
So I have an answer for you, and I think you probably know this answer. But so how do you operate from a different system? How do you shift into a different system? There's a recipe to do so. But it's the answer, it's the cure, it's the way, and it's what many, many people don't want to do. It's like the last thing on earth they want to do. There's a reason why I always say the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek, because that is the answer. And your system is reinforced and perpetuates itself with a bunch of protective parts that keep you in that system. So coming back to what Tyler just said, if you can bear with me for a minute, this might take me just a second. Coming back to what Tyler just said, the first step is actually getting conscious of it. It's interesting when I asked you, like basically what's the issue? And you said, be okay with who I am. And I'm wondering, does DJ even know who he is? So how do you be okay with something that you might have not even seen, right? It's been so long, because all of these automatic systems have taken over unconsciously and automatic. So the first step is to actually get conscious of the systems. And the way that you do that is by looking at the outcomes of your life and then looking at how you're responding to the world. In what ways are you manipulating? In what ways are you showing up authentically? And then you ask yourself why. And so then you can see, oh, I'm afraid of failure. That's a belief that I have, that I can't fail. Okay. There's a belief system right there, right? That's just one of them. So once you get conscious of those beliefs, and now we're getting to your question here, how do I actually shift them? And the answer is you got to try something else out. If you've been living in that belief system over and over and over again, then it will reinforce itself. But we don't want to try something else out. Do you know why?
Because we're afraid it's not going to work.
We don't know. It's an act of faith. So we know our system. We know it well. We've been living in it. We've been creating in it. So then it's like, like I'm supposed to actually like go try something else on. Like, I don't know. So fear and control keep us stuck versus faith and courage, which pushes us into, I'm going to try something else. When you try something else, and if it's an act of truth and an act of faith, you don't know exactly the outcome, but you'll get the answer. You'll get a sense of peace about moving forward in that direction, and you'll get the growth. So coming back to your question about growth mindset, fixed mindset, Growth mindset is about being open to the possibility. It's about seeing another option. Fixed mindset is about staying stuck in that fear because you need to create a certain thing in your life and trying so hard to get that thing, failing, and then using the same system to try to get it again. Right? So
Brannon,
go ahead, Tyler.
So Brannon, you're saying two things at the same time, which I think is hard for people to wrap their heads around, but it's absolutely true. On one hand, he needs to take action by being courageous and stepping into the faith of something new. At the same time, that he needs a massive practice of surrender. He actually has to let go of the outcomes. He's got to let go of belief systems. And so it sounds weird because that's a dialectic, like surrender everything and let go, but take massive action. It's actually a little bit of both. And what you're describing, Brannon, is the things that you're mentioning include an entire being part of process. They include an emotional response, a spiritual response, and a rational and logical response. And it's the emotional and the spiritual merged with the rational and logical that's going to have the ability to make the lasting, bigger changes that I think DJ is looking for, rather than just the rational stuff.
Yeah. Let me give an analogy to try to just explain this a little better. So like if I have, let's say when I'm 12 years old, I get a job and I get that job and it starts paying me enough to like sustain me, but I hate it. I hate my boss. There's no purpose there. But I'm just working that job. It's just what I do every day, day in and day out. And I've worked there so long that I don't believe that I can do something different. It sustains me. It's killing my soul. And so then, but deep down inside of me, there's this feeling like, God, I want to start a business. Like I just have this business I want to do, right? What would compel me to actually do that? It's really hard to actually step forth and do that. And here's the point I'm trying to get to is let's say I do. Let's say I have the faith to quit my job and go start that business. Whether that business fails or whether it succeeds, I get the payout. This is kind of what I think what you were just saying, Tyler, is the payout in that is I get a glimpse of who I actually am. I get to understand who I am because I've jumped into the cave. And let's say I fail first time, great. Maybe I start a business down the road and it succeeds. But Tyler, go ahead.
That's the difference, though, Brannon. I'm going to just kind of give you devil's advocate of a lot of people listening to what you said right now. Is that you might get the payout, but you also get a reconfirmation that you suck if you fail at it.
It depends on how you take it, and this is where you get conscious. Because if I step into starting that business knowing that I'm scared of failure, and when I fail in starting that business and I'm conscious of it, and I say, "Oh, there it is. There's my fear of failure. You know what? I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to fix this problem, and I'm going to move forward with the business." That consciousness has to be there, or else. What you said is true, Tyler. The old system comes into play. Yeah, you failed. Yeah, there it is. See, it's proof. You suck. Go back to your old job.
The consciousness and the intention then matters, because you could go through autopilot and just fail again and have proof that you suck. Or you could go, I'm trying to challenge my sense of failure here. I'm going to go put myself in a spot where I'm likely to fail, and I'm going to grow while I do it. I'm purposely setting myself into that. And it kind of goes along with that concept from John Eldridge's, Wild at Heart, when he talks about the wound to the heart. Now, DJ, with your shirt, I'm assuming that you know Wild at Heart fairly well.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So the one of the things that I really resonated in the book for myself is wherever we're most wounded is actually the place where God will try to enter and reclaim our hearts. So we will continue to break ourselves against the wall or kick against the pricks with all of our ego and all of our protectors doing the same things over and over again. And the whole time God will be chasing you
through that very point. And it's when you turn around and let down the defenses that God can then step in, and in the book he says, give you a new name. That's where you're actually going to get a new belief, and it's going to be in the exact same spot where the old one had developed. And so you putting yourself out there in a place where let's go have you, and maybe this is what you're doing. Maybe what you're doing today on this show is part of this, DJ. Like, I'm going to go step out into a public place and admit all my failure. All right. Good for you, man. Like, and hopefully you'll end this call having had a different experience in some way emotionally than what you've always had, which is that means nobody's going to love me anymore. Hopefully you leave with at least two guys who are total strangers today going, hey, DJ, like, even after 30 minutes, 40 minutes of talking to you, we care about you and we love you. And thank you for your courage. Right. And then you can have a different emotional experience that goes, oh, I don't have to believe the old stuff right now. And more of that, stepping off the edge over and over again with the intention of changing the belief. So, Brannon, you used a couple words there that I think are important. You used consciousness and intention. I'm going to add a couple other words. Consciousness, curiosity, and compassion go together in all of this. So when I become aware of this thought, I recognize it and wonder kind of what's going on and why it's coming up right now and where it's coming from. And then I meet myself with compassion because I realize that this is something that I've had for a long time that I didn't really develop on purpose. And then I take that conscious action, that intentional action. So now I'm trying to have an emotional experience with the better parts of myself too, and saying, hey, this is part of my process now. I don't have to hate myself for it. I don't have to beat myself up for it because I find myself shrinking for my wife again or performing at church again or whatever else it is. What do I want to do with it now? What's the new belief that I want to actually reinforce? And then I'll step into that.
And can I want to add one to your C's here, which is it continues. So there's no, you're conscious. What'd you say? Conscious, compassion,
consciousness, curiosity, and compassion.
Curiosity. Oh, one of my favorite. Consciousness, curiosity, compassion, and then that continues throughout life. So there's no like standing on top of the mountain and it's like, well, I got conscious and curious enough that here I am. Yay. It's wow, look at this mountain that I'm on top of. And then you look above you and it's like, whoa, there's another one. That's a steep hill right there. Wow. Let's get conscious and curious here as to how we handle this. And that's life. So the growth mindset is acceptance of that very thing, that goes on, and we get to grow, we get to learn again and again. Versus, look, I got to the top of the mountain, parents, wife, everybody, look at me, I'm at the top of the mountain. I've arrived. See, look. And they're all like, oh, yeah, good job, DJ. Like, that's great. That's, but then what? Then, okay. Like, do you see the difference?
Yeah, I do.
DJ, I got to tell you, man, I relate to you a lot. I'm having some like transference, I'm the oldest boy of all of my family and always felt like I needed to be a good example. And I kind of self-imposed this like same thing of performance. And, we talk about family roles. I took on for myself, I took on the role of needing to be the hero. Like, never let anything but good be seen because
he actually called himself Nephi once.
I did actually.
And me layman.
Much to the chagrin of my two younger brethren who chased me around the yard with shovels.
Which he deserved. Fully deserved it.
Yeah. So, but what I was getting at there though is that in my own recovery process, one of the most pivotal things that happened is that when I realized that I had self-imposed this role of needing to be the hero, and when I embraced this is what I call for myself, the fallen hero role, which was, I don't have to be perfect for anybody anymore. I don't have to make my mom and dad proud anymore. My brothers and my sisters can handle themselves. Like, I can let go of all that pressure. It was weird because it felt like I was giving up a big piece of my identity, but in the vacuum that it created space for me to like I understand new parts of myself, new pieces of my identity, like and I love being the fallen hero. Like that's a way better spot than the pressure of the hero.
Tyler, are you saying you're not Superman, you're Deadpool? I like that.
Whatever I am, I'm better off for it now than I was.
Yeah.
In that control, like when you use the word control, Brannon, like control, like like man, like I can just feel it inside of you, DJ. Like I would love for that part to just be like, let it go. Like let it go. You don't have to do image management anymore. Like you can have a beautiful, wonderful life on the other side of the courageous act of letting that all down. It'll be scary. There'll be a lot of like pain and regrowing some things, but oh my gosh, your life can be so much more free. So go ahead, Brandon.
I just want to ask a question we ask all the time, which you've done all these programs. Are you doing any root work, any core work, EMDR, ART?
I've heard you guys throw out these acronyms and others as well, but no, I haven't dabbled in EMDR or ART.
Yeah, you have done some retreats though, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard work.
Yeah.
So you've done some, like if I were you, I would shift. You're getting in these programs and they're these systems that can be great, but they can be great when you're also doing the actual core work, the underneath work. They can actually, I believe, be detrimental if you're not, because then it's just focused on behavior modification, trying hard to not do something. And so whether or not the program's focused on that or not, that's what it's used for a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So the core work, ART, EMDR, plant medicine, retreats, these type of things, they provide an opportunity for experience, and for a shift in perspective and belief about self. And when you have those shifts and then you go apply the good recovery capital, all of that stuff falls into place. It works well if it's a good program. It works well. So if I were you, I would get that in order first, or at least make a plan to really reclaim your heart. Focus on healing the trauma, getting to know yourself better.
Okay.
DJ, what's going through you right now? I mean, Brannon and I have been talking back and forth a little bit, but let's bring you back in for a second. Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Responses, questions?
Well, I've kind of been all over the map. At first, it was like I felt some overwhelm associated with, that dichotomy that you mentioned of, action versus, letting go kind of thing. I've struggled with that for a long time. So yeah, hearing that was kind of overwhelming, because I don't know how to put that into practice very well. So so there was that, but just in the last 30 seconds or so, as Brannon was talking about some of these other options, EMDR, ART, I have heard a lot of good things about them. I haven't necessarily done a lot of research, looked into it like seriously, but that kind of instilled some hope there, that there are other options besides these programs that I keep trying and failing at. So
okay, I want to just reemphasize what Brannon said, that the programs themselves can be really good. It's just making sure that it's reinforcing the whole heart recovery and not just the rigidity of like, if you do this, you're going to get sober.
Right.
So one other thought too, that maybe to take away that overwhelmed feeling of the balance between surrender and action. maybe could I just walk you through a really quick, easy way to practice this principle? Now, this won't be the full solution, but it might not be as overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time from now forward that you become conscious of that old belief that is now actively engaged in your day-to-day life. So maybe later this afternoon, you have a church leader call you and ask you to take on a 14th assignment, and your your default would be to be like, I have to say yes because I need to look a certain way, and you recognize it. Okay. All you're going to do is practice those things that we just talked about. You're going to become conscious of it. You're going to recognize it and say, oh, there's my need to perform. There's my need to be seen. There's my whatever it is. You're going to get curious with it and ask yourself, is this actually what I really need to do for myself right now? You're going to meet yourself with compassion and say, you know what, like this has been around for a really long time. It's okay that I'm feeling this way. I don't know that I want to believe this anymore. So there's your curiosity and compassion and acceptance. And then you're going to practice the surrender first. Surrender. I'm going to give that over. I don't need to actually be seen a certain light anymore. I'm giving that over. And I would practice it either verbally or maybe even write it on a piece of paper and put it away or throw it in the trash or something. Practice giving it away. But I'm giving that over. And then the action would be the act of courage. So in this moment, what's the act of courage? Hey, church leader, a part of me really wants to take this assignment, and another part of me actually knows that I need to say no to this, just for the practice of being able to say no and be seen in a certain way. Done. Practice. Simple. 2 little things. Recognize, surrender the belief, take action opposite to the belief. That's that practice over and over again on a day-to-day basis. So it'll still be scary, it'll still be hard, but it doesn't have to be like massively overwhelming. In addition to things Brannon's talking about with like the ART or the IFS, all that other stuff. But how does that feel to you, DJ?
It feels
still overwhelming.
A little scary, but I think it feels doable. The compassion part is probably the part I'll struggle with the most. But
it's interesting because that's part of what keeps these beliefs stuck so rooted in place is that it's actually your own self-judgment that is probably stronger to break through than even what other people might think of you.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I'm kind of, and I don't know how to put words to this, but I talk about getting conscious of your belief systems. I just kind of saw one there. It's good to beat myself up. It's good to, make sure that I remember how bad I am.
How else do I get better?
Yeah.
You let go of that.
Yeah. That's a fear. Because he's like, well, if I let go of that, then what's going to motivate
22.
me?
There's the faith.
Yeah.
There's the opportunity to step in with courage of like, wow, what would life be like if I didn't have to think that I was bad? Would I be motivated to do good if I didn't think I was bad? You might discover that you're a pretty good dude, DJ.
You would probably do almost everything you do already, but just not have the pressure of it all. I would bet.
Yeah.
Yep. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
DJ, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your vulnerability, your willingness to just share. And I know so many people listening relate to you. And so it was courageous for you to just do this. Like Tyler said, this was an act against your shame. And really appreciate you. So
thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've been a long time listener of you guys. I was listening back in the betrayed, addicted, in the expert days, and
You've heard my voice a lot.
I have. Yeah, it's a soothing one.
Why? Thank you.
I've never heard someone say Brannon's voice is soothing, so that's awesome. DJ, yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you, man, and I'm hoping I know you signed up during the time frame, and it's still open for those of you guys listening that you are now also entered to potentially come and join us at our Rising Sun retreat in the fall. We'll be doing that drawing on Brannon's birthday in July. So,
full disclosure, that was the impetus that that got me on here.
Awesome. We're glad, man. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you on, and we're glad you took the act of courage to come on. Thank you. And for those of you guys listening, if this resonates with you, or if it resonates with you and DJ, one of the best ways to help support him is to just go over and leave a review on any of the podcast places that you listen to your podcasts, and mention DJ and how it affected you or how it helped you. So until next time, you guys, keep on keeping on.